Welcome to the We Rock DM podcast, your source for all things digital marketing. Join hosts Daniel and Tricia Olberg as they explore the latest trends and share their expertise on how to succeed in the digital age. Tune in for expert advice on search engine optimization, social media marketing, and content strategy. We make kick-ass stuff kick-ass. So join us and learn how to rock your digital marketing game. Welcome back to We Rock DM Amplified, the podcast that amplifies your understanding of the digital and web universe. We're your hosts, Daniel and Tricia Olberg, and we couldn't be more excited about today's guest. Joining us is Dustin Hayes, the brains and the bold spirit behind Red, White, and Badass Brew. Coffee as bold as the American spirit. Not only does this veteran-owned and operated enterprise serve up delicious coffee, it also supports the impactful nonprofit Shelter to Soldier. Today, we'll brew up a conversation as invigorating as Dustin's coffee. We'll delve into Dustin's journey, the intersection of business and social responsibility, and the role of digital media in spreading their cause. So get your cup of joe ready, tune in, and let's explore a story as bold as the brew itself. Dustin, welcome to We Rock DM Amplified. Thank you so much for joining us.
Daniel, thank you for having me on. Hey, Tricia, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's really my pleasure being on your show.
So when you reached out, you actually said that, you were looking for these different things, but really you're looking to unpack how to hire a digital marketing agency. Is that where you're still at, or where are you today?
Yeah, I'm still at, how to hire a digital agency. I've talked to several of them, and I've hired a few of them, actually. So I've had some past experiences with them, and not so great experiences. I've a lot of undeliverables, a lot of promises up front, a lot of undeliverables. It was really a package deal. I went like an all for broke type of deal. And I went broke.
Oh, damn. Right.
Yeah. It's one of those experiences.
So, you have a podcast yourself. Are you still running that podcast?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And what's the name of it?
Coffee, Conversations, and Badasses. We tell heroic stories of people who overcame mental health, addictions, and relationships and business struggles.
Right. And are all of them vets that you have on your show?
No, so we don't typically, it's not a vet podcast. Even though I'm a vet and I love our veterans and they hold a very close spot in my heart, I do have veterans come on the show. We touch a little bit about their military history, but it's not necessarily about that. It's about whatever journey they went through on some of the hardships they went through in life and how they overcome them and the lessons learned of what they can give back to the community. And that is not necessarily just a veteran community, but just the community as a whole of somebody who else is going through that situation in their life. Whether it's, going through divorce, dealing with one of their kids, to lost a business, because I've been there and done that, to also addictions, whatever kind of addictions they're kind of go through, because everything, the cell phone is an addiction these days. It can really impact people's lives. And then, mental health is a huge aspect. It's across the nation, out of control. So it's really just a show to really document that person's journey and then how they came into, that hardship and how they transitioned out of it and how they're successful today.
And so how does that podcast fit into your larger business model?
So we really started the podcast as one of our sales funnels for both of our businesses. And it really kind of quickly took over to almost a main thing. So now it's not just part of our sales funnel. It's one of our main advertising pieces.
Okay. And so I just heard you say we and businesses. Can you unpack that?
Yeah. So Go Man Go Productions is my partner in Coffee Conversations and Badasses. So he does all my production work. So we partnered up, and how that partnership came about is because of Red, White, and Badass Brew. He saw me on a social media site and was like, dude, that's a brand I'd like to get a part of. So we connected, and then as we started our business journey together, we went out and shot some guns, and I kind of told him a little bit about my story, and he was just inspired. And I had all the podcast equipment, and I was going to start a podcast, but I didn't know that end of the podcast. So then I just me and talked about it, like, hey, you want to go partner up on this podcast? We're like, yeah, let's do it. But if we're going to do it, we're going to do something different. We're not going to do the norm. We're going to make a actual show out of that person's journey.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the production value of, the few reels that I saw on Instagram, and it's really well put together. So I mean, clearly you got a pro that you're working with, and it's nice to hear that that's somebody that you're partnered with. It's not somebody necessarily that you had to hire. It's also, from an ego perspective, nice to see that you are not only the businessman, but I thought maybe you were the professional doing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with this guy. He's amazing. What's going on? So now it's like, okay, I feel a little more validated that I don't also know how to do those cool things.
Oh, maybe try to retract that just so I look that much more badass. Right. Like, is that what you're trying to say? Like, damn, I thought I had this guru. No, it really takes a special talent to encompass everything. That is very difficult to probably come by. Not only that, but the time commitment to put them together is. If you want to start a podcast, and I've had numerous people reach out to me like, I want to start a podcast. I'm like, awesome. Just think about what you're really going to do and really have a game plan, because this thing spiraled out of control really quickly. Just because we did not estimate the amount of time it was going to take us to actually do the podcast. And we greatly got a lesson again in business. And this is part of business. It happens that it's going to happen. You're going to make these mistakes and these miscalculations, so to speak, of time. And it takes, for one of our episodes, it's taken us 40 hours probably to put together.
I would believe it, because it's really damn good. It does,
or more.
It does have the show quality to it compared to our podcast, which does not.
Come on.
What are you talking about? You got beautiful Tricia over here. You got handsome Dan. Come on.
Right.
That's what else you need.
That's it.
We're working on
production.
it.
What? No.
Well, that's one thing you have to look at when you're going down that kind of road, right? What is your production? How much time commitment do you have? And so that's the biggest question that you really got to answer. What are you going to do with your podcast? And that's what go ahead.
So, I want to talk about what you're doing with your podcast in a little bit. Like, I've seen some reels on Instagram and what have you, and maybe Tricia and I might have some other uses for that material, so that the 40 hours is not 40 hours once and done. It's 40 hours that now applies, and broken into all of the different pieces of material content that y'all pulled out of that 40 hours work of labor and love. Now you've got 140 pieces of content instead of 3 or something like that, So I want to talk maybe about how to repurpose, if you're not already doing that. Now we've got Red, White, and Badass Brew. What can you tell us about that as a business model? Where are you making your money? Where are you wanting to make your money? How did that come about? Where's your coffee source from? I don't know. Just unpack it, if you would.
Okay. Well, some of this is top secret that I can't tell. Just joking. It's not top secret. Anybody can find it.
Nice.
So how I got started in the business I came down with skin cancer, and I had another business. I cleaned solar panels, and so my doctor's like, "You ain't doing that anymore." Dude. Yeah, like you're done. So then I was like, "All right." So I sold the business, and I was sitting at my desk at my computer, staring at it, going, "What are you going to do with your life now? How are you going to be making a living? You just sold this other business." And I was drinking a Starbucks, and I had this epiphany that I could do better than Starbucks. And I knew nothing about coffee roasting. I knew nothing about coffee in itself other than being a consumer. And so I went down the journey, man, and started researching. And that's where it kind of came out. And I just started it and started doing pretty well. And kind of more of a hobbyish type of thing. I was doing it as a business, but more of a hobby type of thing. And not till recently, I'm like, all right, full-fledged into this thing. Let's go.
Right.
So right now, where I stand with the business is where I make my money is events. That's where I'm making my money. Okay. I want to be an e-commerce. I want to be a leading e-commerce store. You know, I want to be the brand because this isn't just a brand that you just go. It's a lifestyle brand. Mm-hmm. That's what this is really about. And my core people are my veterans, my first responders, you know, patriots. Those are my people. You know, those are the people. Those are the people I can speak to. I know the language. You know, I can have fun at those events. We can interact very well. Not saying I can't interact with other people. Military was a huge part of my life. And I just know that demographic very well.
That's the perfect, yeah.
I don't know about you, Tricia, but I got chills when Dustin was saying that.
I've been getting chills from this whole conversation. Yeah. I love what you were doing. I do. And Daniel and I are both entrepreneurs. We've done all kinds of things. I have an Etsy shop. I was wondering, when you talk about events, are you talking about vendor events? I've done a lot of those. Is that what you're talking about, or just get-togethers? Or
so like,
what do you mean?
Like Fleet Week. They'll have Fleet Week. They'll have the 4th of July events, concerts at the park type of stuff. You know, any kind of military. You know, first responder, law enforcement, you know, tactical shooting, anything like that. 4 wheels, off-roading, racing, all those type of stuff. Those are my bread and butter. Those are where I really kind of shine and make the money right now. But that's not the goal. Yeah. And I'm also, everybody wants me to open up a coffee shop. I don't know if that's a route.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
So here's,
I like the idea.
Here's kind of my take on this so far from what I'm hearing. I'm not an open up a coffee shop proponent. So, but hearing the events that you're listing, unless you're franchising and going across the nation, you're limited to a radius of 80 miles, maybe max, before it becomes cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't scale. You know, that's the problem that I'm hearing, is that's not going to scale.
No.
You're
so correct. Dustin, let me tell you. Yeah. So back to, I have an Etsy shop. I'm a screen printer, and I've done a lot of events. I started with events. That's how I got started. And just like you, I wanted to expand. And the best way to do that is online, right? Through my website. And once I learned some digital marketing tips and tricks, I was able to escalate my Etsy store to the top 4% globally. So I think we can give you some good advice.
Yeah.
I'm all earmuffs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I like what you're doing, and a couple things I want to tease out before we move on to the next subject, whatever that might be, is your target market. You are your target market, which is a rarity. That's why you don't. That's why you want to improve Starbucks, is because you were there as a consumer and it didn't meet your needs, and so you're like, okay, I want to do better than that. So that's your bar. All you have to do is do better than that to be successful, and then you have a new bar. Um, but you're also the person that you want to sell your coffee to, right?
Correct.
So it's not often that that you have that. So I think that you're in a really good space, and I say this a lot, so we don't need to reuse this clip for YouTube. But I love Mr. Rogers from growing up, because Mr. Rogers spoke to me, and you look a little younger than me, so maybe you didn't get the Mr. Rogers experience that I got. But anyway, it wasn't until I watched the movie about Mr. Rogers where I better understood why I felt that way. But the reality is that Mr. Rogers, when he spoke to a kid, he spoke to that kid. When he was on set with that kid, there were other kids, but he was speaking to that one child. But because of the attention, and I think he loved that child, even though it was a stranger. So there's that aspect of it too. But because of the attention to that one, all of the others felt it. And so I would not recommend you look for a wider target market. I would recommend you stay in that lane, and the others will come to you if they feel what it is that you're putting out there, right? And if not, I think there's plenty of space in that one area for you to excel to your heart's content, right? So stick with your vets, your firefighters, your first responders. They're your people, and they will feel that, and then others will, through the network effect, will see it, feel it, and want more of that same thing. And you could inspire others to become firefighters, first responders, simply through your product. I mean, it's crazy to say it, but it's totally possible. And how cool would that be? Yeah, oh man, why did you become a firefighter? I don't know. I used to drink, or I used to see my daddy drink this drink, this ice brew that was, red, white, and badass brew. And, the marketing on it and the way that my daddy talked about it and blah, blah, blah. I just became a firefighter. I don't know. It's a long shot, but I could totally see that being a reality. And so I don't think from a marketing perspective, you need to widen your net at all. I think you probably don't want to refine it any further. It sounds like you've got that pretty locked in. But yeah, just all of your messaging, all of your branding, all of your content strategy, focus on that group and don't expand out, at least not for a very long time. Right? That would be my first piece of advice.
I love it. I love it.
So, with regards to your digital marketing, you've hired and fired several agencies. That's actually a good sign and a red flag for an agency. They're like, well, how's this going to go? Right? But it demonstrates that you are not going to settle. And you don't strike me as an individual who settles, just from a brief meeting you. But that's
you hit
also,
the nail on the head with that one.
But that's also consistent with the target that you're trying to go into. So from an agency perspective, I think you would do well to focus on maybe hiring an agency that's already in that space, because they get you. They know you because you are them, you know? And which probably means you don't want to hire a large agency. You want to shop for a small, kind of boutique marketing agency. That has its drawbacks, because now you're also speaking to the choir. You don't have a lot of out of the box thinking. You're all in the same headspace. And so when they say something and it resonates with you, it's a signed, done deal, delivered thing. And it's not necessarily looking at the larger picture. It's right. So it has drawbacks. But I think from a hiring perspective, you want to make sure when you're looking for a digital marketing agency that you hire a group that sees you and that sees the target market that you're going after. And like I said, I don't think you want to go with a large marketing agency. It feels safe because they've got the numbers, they've got the staff, they've also got the juniors who are just getting their feet wet, they're cutting their teeth, and they're cutting it on your product, right?
Yep, that's exactly it.
So yeah,
to
Tricia?
add to that, it's so funny. Yeah, it's not funny. I mean, Daniel and I think the same. This is why we work together. But when you were talking about this, the first thing about an agency not fitting you, the first thing that came to my mind is I bet that the agency didn't understand your target audience or your brand or your just your mission statement in general. And this can happen a lot with bigger agencies. They don't have time for that. They don't have time to really dig in there and understand you and your mission, right? So it does feel like that might be a better path for you. It's just somebody smaller who has the time to dedicate to you, and you're not, just talking to whoever's available that day. They're really zoned in on your mission.
I love that. I mean, that actually would probably fit very well with me in my company, because of where I'm looking to take this is, and I don't, just to be 100%, I don't like hiring and firing. I hate it.
Of course not.
I hate it. Like, I don't know anybody who does. No. I like I want a relationship with that partner, with that company, because I don't only want to, build mine. Hopefully this is a scalable thing that I help build theirs as well. Because one thing I do very well is if you're doing a great job for me, I recommend you.
Absolutely.
That's the only way. And word of mouth is still the best advertising.
Yep.
So I go out and I recommend all the time people, hey, go check these people out. Go do this. I had a construction business. I have a couple of people in my back pocket who are really good. And I'm like, hey, go call these guys. You want an electrician, call these guys. If you want, this is who I used for a little bit of my SEO, my website design, call these guys. This is the guy I use for my graphic design, call him. Like these guys, I highly recommend them, and people go and follow through and use them.
Yep. It's important.
Yeah. The boutique thing. Yeah. I recommend, I highly suggest that. And you hit the nail on the head with that marketing agency. They missed the mark completely when they did it. And I was like, man, that didn't even look like my brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So from a digital marketing perspective, where are you now? Like, you have a website, but it's basically just a landing page that says coming soon, with a pop-up. By the way, I'm not a fan of pop-ups. I recommend against them, at least on load. A pop-up on load for a first-time visitor doesn't resonate because they don't even know you yet. They haven't built that trust or relationship. So even if the offer is very compelling, 50% off your first offer, they're probably going to close that because they don't want email from you until they know who you are. And so I would recommend against using that strategy. If you're going to incorporate a pop-up strategy, it really needs to be done during like a repeat visit or a scroll depth, like they've scrolled down past a certain amount on your page to warrant, okay, they know who we are, they know what we're doing, they're at 80% the depth. Yeah, now's a good time to throw that pop-up in there. But straight out of the gate, if they don't know you, they're not going to give you their currency, and their currency is their email, right?
Correct.
So where are you as far as your need? What do you need? Are you looking for a new web team to design and develop your new site? Are you looking for content marketing strategies or deliveries? Are you thinking about running paid search ads, paid display ads? Are you trying to build social? What are your immediate needs, and what are your 6-month, Q1 of next year needs and beyond?
Yeah, those are all great questions. So right now, I'm just doing a little maintenance on the site. So that's why you'll see it's saying coming soon or down for maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing a little maintenance on the site. And then I am really looking for a marketing company that is one that says what they're going to do. And that was my initial problem, is they all said, hey, here's what you're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. And we're going to make you your money back your first month. And then, or break even. Second month, you're going to make money. Fourth month, third month, you're going to make some more money. And then, fourth month, you're going to make so much money. I was like, okay, they fed me the dream, right? That's what they did. They fed me the dream.
Mm.
And I was like, and now going through a couple of marketing companies, now I know what to expect. Now I know it's not a short-term turnaround that's going to happen. Now I know it's going to take longer, 4 to 6 months, because you have to have that sales funnel and that brandings all start coming in.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that now. Now if a marketing company just comes out straight up and tells me that, then that's a legit way of getting my business. Because that's not what any of them say. Say what?
Right.
Say,
well, red flag.
That's a
they
legit
don't say
red
that.
flag. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's true. It isn't a quick thing. You're absolutely right. And branding, I love that you said that, because branding is so important. You have to have a strong brand before you can market anything. People have to believe in your brand, right? And you have to know who you are. So, I totally agree. And yeah, any company that says we're going to be able to make money quickly without having that in place, that just doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, makes sense.
That's exactly it. So I'm looking at, I'm terrible at social media, but I'm also cheap. I don't want to hire somebody to do my social media. So it's one of those things I have to do better, myself, and get better at the social media game. I don't know how big of an impact that's really going to play into really selling my coffee. I know it's going to get my brand out there and people come to see it. And if I have regular content, they're going to be like, okay, he's active. It's a real shop. Wow, this guy, I can see myself drinking the same cup of coffee he is.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
Well,
all right.
Do me a favor real quick, Dustin.
All right.
I want to know about you. Real quick.
Okay.
Have you ever watched videos on TikTok?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Have you ever
post
watched
for my
videos
business.
on? Okay. Have you ever watched videos on YouTube Shorts?
Yes.
Okay. How about Instagram Reels?
Yes.
Okay. Over in LinkedIn, I see you have an account there. Do you ever go to LinkedIn and spend time
Very,
reading
very
through any
rarely
of
when I do.
your
It's
feed?
just a post real quick, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about Twitter? Do you actively or somewhat use Twitter?
No, I have a
No.
business account
All
with
right. And
Twitter, but I
I'm guessing that Threads, the new Twitter of Meta, Facebook, Instagram opened one called Threads a week ago. I guess that's not your lane either. Okay.
no, I didn't even know they
All
opened
right.
one.
So, I just did an interview with your target client, and he's not on social. So he might be on social YouTube Shorts. So if you're going to push any social, that would be the avenue that I would recommend you spend the bulk of your time on, because you are your target market. Right? I wouldn't
I
waste time in
Yep.
TikTok because you're not there, so neither are they.
Yeah.
So if we can identify where you're at now, you're a busy business entrepreneur, so we can't assume that everyone is like you, but we can start asking those very same questions to the people who are buying our coffee. Hey, as they're at an event and they're buying our coffee, quick question for you: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, or old school TV? And we just keep a tally, old school handwritten tally, and it's bad data, but it's some data. And at the end of the event, we see that, well, I got 13 yeses on TikTok, and I only got 25 yeses on YouTube Shorts. So maybe there are more players over in TikTok than I was expecting. Now we can start doing some genuine research, right? To identify if our market is in that space. But if you are your target market consumer, then we can use you as our initial litmus test. So that's what I would recommend you do, is find out from your own behaviors where you're at, and then make that your initial lane. Screw the others for now. And get good at that one. So you said yes, YouTube Shorts. So now I would hold you accountable for YouTube Shorts. And I know you're on Instagram, but I don't know if you're consuming Instagram Reels. So I would focus on YouTube Shorts, because those can be moved over to Instagram relatively easily, as long as we know that we stay within a minute mark for YouTube Shorts,
Mm-hmm.
rather than 3 minutes, which is the possibility in YouTube Shorts. And so we can repurpose it. And then just make that your lane, make that your side hustle for the next 2 months, right? And commit yourself to 3 shorts a day. Holy crap, that's going to be hard. But if you do 3 shorts a day for the next 3 months, you're going to get a system. You're going to get in the zone. You're going to know it in and out. You're going to realize 2 weeks in that it doesn't need to be 3 times a day. It needs to be once every 2 days, or whatever your information tells you, right? So yeah, also with hiring a company to do social for you, that means that they have to have your voice. And while you do have some pretty solid branding, I'm guessing you haven't necessarily carved out a brand identity, which would be required for an agency of any size to represent you as you. They would need to know what makes you laugh, what makes you cry, what makes you giggle, what makes you sweat with fear. What How do you talk? What's your vocabulary? What's your tone? Are you snarky? Are you an asshole? they need to know these things about you so that when
Just depends if
somebody
I have coffee or
asks
not.
a question, right? Exactly, right? And so having a brand identity that is that honed probably is going to take you another 2 or 3 years before you figure it out yourself. And so hiring some agency to represent you in that space, nah. Paid
Okay.
is different. Yeah, Tricia, go ahead.
I was going to say, and obviously there are lots of agencies that do this, but it is tough, and you will pay them a lot of money and they will spend a lot of time trying to figure out what your brand voice is. So yes, for just you specifically as a small business owner, I agree that paying somebody for that is probably not the best idea. And to what Daniel said, you want to be on the platforms that you care about or occasionally watch, because I think the biggest mistake people make in this space, especially small business owners, is we think that we're seeing other companies have all the success on social media, and that we have to be on every platform to make sure we're getting all these different demographics, all these people over here, over there, and we get burned out. And social media can be such misleading too. Just because somebody has 100,000 followers doesn't mean those followers are actually paying attention. A good example is I have a friend who owns a brick and mortar store. It's a boutique, and she only has like 1,300 followers on her Instagram account, but every one of those followers is an actual customer. And when she posts something to her Instagram, people come in and buy that item. They are watching her. They are real followers. So just because you feel like other people are having success on social media doesn't really translate. You don't really know what's going on with that, right? So yeah, as to what Daniel was saying, pick 1 or 2 platforms that you feel is gonna work for you, something you can do. Dustin, the reason why Daniel and I have a podcast, one of the reasons, I mean, we have a lot of reasons, but we're taking this podcast and we're cutting it up into reels and shorts. That's the purpose of it. You have a podcast. That would be a really easy thing for you to do, right? And your podcast is directly coordinates with your business. It's going to be what gets people excited about supporting you. So that's the perfect thing to do. Go and make some reels and some shorts from your podcast episodes. It's perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we do. Are the shorts videos that you see on our YouTube and on our Instagram or social media channels? It's from the actual episodes that launch, because our episodes are usually an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so we cut those up,
right? And
we just launch those every day.
Perfect. That's honestly, I think that may be all you need to do. That is probably enough.
And then I'll probably, I probably need to do for the Red White Badass Brew too, make some videos and stuff like that.
Right.
That's what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
So, and I guess where would the videos be? Like, so that's one thing I have a hard time doing is like, I'm not a big social media person, just not. When I'm on there, I'm not on there for hours. I'm just on there for a few minutes. And mostly I'm looking up, like, I love nature. So I love scuba diving stuff and, traveling and stuff like that. So that's what my algorithm feeds me, is that kind of stuff.
Right.
But so me trying to creatively think, like, what would my videos be of? Me dropping some knowledge and while drinking some coffee? I don't know. Those seem to do pretty well.
Okay, so that's a good question. So actually, they should be about the topics in your podcast that are important to you that may not even be related to your coffee, Dustin. It's supporting your cause, right? And this is what's really cool about YouTube Shorts right now. If you have, I don't know if you're putting your podcast on YouTube. Are you on YouTube? The whole podcast?
We're on YouTube. Yeah. It's
okay. So all you have to do is go find, like a 60-second or under clip of something you said in there that doesn't even have to be related to your coffee. Again, it's something about your cause, which is related to your business. And you make a short And people are going to be interested in that because they're interested in your cause, right? So the thing is not everything has to be a sales pitch. You don't have to be out there pitching the coffee all the time. If you are just you're focused on like your cause, that is probably going to get people interested in your coffee as a result, right? Because it's supporting your business. So yeah, for sure, have some coffee stuff out there, obviously, but the majority of what you do can just be your cause. Make some shorts, and it's going to start coming up in their feed because they're going to find that it's interesting, and the algorithm knows when people find something, it finds a short interesting or not. I can't even explain how this works. Algorithms are a mystery to everybody, but the idea is the more people showing interest in your content, the wider it's going to go. That's how it is. So that will happen naturally.
I would also recommend that you reverse engineer the podcasts, the shorts that you have that are getting views. Right now, you've got two. The one talking about depression and addiction, which may have been the very first short, and then a few later, you've got one with Hector Bravo 9/11 mental health. Right? It's got 1,500 views. I would try to unpack what's happening in those videos. What words specifically are being used in those videos? What meta descriptions or tags were used in that? And maybe we need to get more of that. So initially, depression and addiction, that sounds like that right there, those two words alone are enough for people to connect with and want to learn from. If only I'm not alone in this. There are others who are experiencing this, right? And then maybe the other one with Hector Bravo, either it's 9/11 or it's mental health that was pushing the algorithm to push it out even further. But you have several whose titles incorporate mental health, and they don't have near the numbers. So I would guess that maybe the discussion about 9/11 resonated. It could have been published. I'm not looking at your metrics. It could have been published around that time, and that's why it resonated. So maybe you want to push it out again near September when the feels are coming back for anyone impacted by it on any kind of level. But I mean, y'all are pulling out shorts. They some of them are doing fairly well. Others are like 5 views, 200 views. There's one about narcissist and psychopath behavior. And that one's got the highest view, 1.6 thousand. So I would try to reverse engineer what's happening in these videos. And do we have other podcasts or later clips from that same conversation that we could utilize as well? With our podcast, we're at like an hour to an hour and a half. And I don't know, how many shorts do we pull out of any given podcast? Would you say it's 10 or 15, Tricia?
At least. Yeah. And it really is about experimenting and see what resonates with people. I can tell you 2 things I've learned lately, if it's helpful. I'm actually learning that shorter as in under 30 seconds, tend to get more views. People, think about your own attention span, right? We tend as content creators to think that the more we can pack into that minute we get, the better. But actually, when people are just scrolling, they're really not staying on there very long. So if you can make them a little bit shorter, like under 30 seconds, even something like 10 to 15 seconds, those are really good. I'm also noticing that titles are very important. That has something to do with the algorithm and the way it matches shorts to people and viewers. So really pay attention to what your title is saying. Really make sure that your title matches the content. That's my tip.
Thank you. All those are actually fantastic tips.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all have bad math here.
We just launched in
nearly 30.
May 1st was when we launched. Or not May 1st, June 1st.
That's great.
June
Congratulations.
1st. Okay,
that's awesome.
Yeah, y'all are killing it. I would just say look at the podcasts that you haven't broken into smaller pieces. There are tools, by the way. After this, I'll send you a link to a tool that uses AI. It might be cost prohibitive, but it essentially you upload your video, and using AI, it will find the nuggets for YouTube Shorts or Reels or TikTok Reels or what have you, and even build out the clip. It's not perfect. It's still, you might want to, trim it a little bit more, or something at the end gets cut off. So you want to go find that section and retrim it yourself. But you know a guy who might be able to help you with that. But a lot of the time it's just finding those clips, which is time consuming. So what Tricia and I do is we hire interns, right? I teach we teach a digital marketing course for UT Macomb School of Business here in Austin, Texas. And so we have a plethora of digital marketing students who are keen to build a portfolio. And so every year we take on 3 to 4 interns, one at a time, to kind of spread it out. And that's their job right now, is listen to the podcast and pull out clips. So if you can find your own interns who want to be a part of what you're doing and want to grow in this space, social media marketing, then you could bring them in under your fold and have them do that very same thing. Because I'm not going to re-listen to my podcast. It takes too much time. I don't have that much time. You don't have that much time. In post-production, you're spending 40 hours. You're never going to go listen again, right? And unless you're taking copious notes throughout that, going, Mark, timestamp, 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 timestamp. That was good. That was good. Man, it's a ball ache, right? So it's probably not realistic to think that you're going to go and do that. So don't.
Dustin, we also have a lot of students asking us if we know of companies who would be interested in having them be intern so they can get some experience. So if you want us to send you a student intern, we have a lot of connections. We get that question a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I do want to speak to one thing that you had brought up is, okay, so yes, you have your podcast, which is awesome content, but where do you put the coffee in? Like, where does that come in, right? Mm-hmm. So my suggestion would be Instagram, just throw up a static image talking about your coffee once in a while, or a reel, something like that on Instagram once in a while, talking about your coffee. That's where that would be a good place, but that does not have to be your focus. In fact, it's better if it's not. It's better if you have that other content coming in the majority of the time, and then once in a while you talk about your coffee, right?
Product placement.
This is a different strategy.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So I love pumpkin spice, and I did these stupid videos. I shouldn't say stupid videos, actually fantastic videos that make people laugh. Which I didn't think so. So they used to call me basic bitch, my buddies, because I like pumpkin spice. So I was like, no, I'm not basic bitch. I'm basic badass. So I developed this other persona, and I did these little short clips, so to speak. I actually just did the videos initially, and I just bought like a whole bunch of pumpkin spice stuff, like a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or something, and walk out. I'd be like eating it as I'm walking out and like filming it, and which that was a difficult thing to do.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I'm glad I have all my teeth still. So, and then I did it, and I sent it to my friends. They're like, "Oh, that's funny." And then they just kept harassing me. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna really get them. I'm gonna put this on social media. So I did. I did a little Facebook thing, put it on social media, and then people started liking it.
Yeah.
And then they went. I wouldn't say it went viral. I mean, viral to me. Like if I get more than 500, that's viral.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it went. I think one of them got like 2,500 views, and I was like, "What in the world are people watching? This is ridiculous." But I tagged them in it. I'm like, "No, you're not putting no video out on me," because they did that. They put a video out. I was like, "No, I'm putting my own videos out," and then I would tag them in it and talk a little crap. Well, people end up liking it, so I started doing this on a regular basis, and then I stopped. Because I was like, "Man, this is pointless. I don't know why I'm doing this with my life." And people started messaging me, "Hey, man, where's these videos at? Hey, we really liked your videos. Hey, we thought they were funny." I'm over here scratching my head going, "You guys got too much damn time on your hands if you're watching my videos." But it resonated, I guess.
Yeah.
So two things. That type of diversification is important, and humor is a huge marketing asset. So if you have the ability to make people laugh, which it sounds like you do, then harness that. So I think that your current like Instagram for Red, White, and Badass Brew is a little same. Right now it's focusing a little heavy on the podcast. I would get in and mix it up. But exactly like Tricia was saying, not too much about the product. More videos, more stills. You said a couple things that I wanted to talk about right now, which is lifestyle. Lifestyle is important. And you like to watch these videos about outdoor. I'm kind of guessing outdoor wilderness survival only because I don't know you, and I'm assuming that that's what you mean by outdoor rather than planting petunias, right? But that could totally be your lane too. I'm no judgment. But if you were to go out and do some lifestyle activities yourself with you and your fam, then take your own coffee and have a product placement, have a shot of you within all of the different things that you're doing out there. One little video is about building a fire, one little video is about cooking a steak on a flat rock. We've been watching all those, but make your own damn video. One video is about brewing coffee, and it's whose coffee? It's your coffee. But people see that lifestyle. They don't necessarily know that you're the dude that owns the company. They just know that you're the dude that's enjoying the thing, and maybe you're the model. I don't know why I wrapped that in quotes, but you could be a model, all buff, go for it. But so I would say a more lifestyle focused feed that mixes in some of these shorts, that mixes in a couple stills of product, which takes me to the next thing. People liked watching you eat pumpkin spice coffee beans, right?
Make your own pumpkin spice coffee beans. I don't even know if that's a deal or a move, but now I'm making it. Now I'll make like chocolate flavored pumpkin spice coffee beans or something. Just pumpkin spice anything, like from cereal to a wafer bar to a like oatmeal. I mean, to a sucker. I mean, it's like it doesn't even, or chapstick. Just anything pumpkin spice.
Eat chapstick.
Yeah, no, I don't. True. I don't pumpkin eat the spice chapstick. Is really popular.
I don't recommend eating the pumpkin spice chapstick from Burt's Bees. It's not good. It just smells like pumpkin spice.
There's something about that. Like I've done t-shirts with pumpkin spice, and that's really popular. Yeah, so I get it. But what Daniel was saying, what's really cool is people are liking you. They think that it's funny, so go with that, right? Like keep doing more of that. And you know what's really cool about social media is people like that kind of stuff does really well, and it doesn't take you that much time. It doesn't have to be scripted. It can just be off the cuff, and that's the stuff that does really well, right? Like Dustin, my best reel is of my daughter playing this cat piano toy. That like 7,000 views. This is on my business website, and she's playing this cat piano, and crazy. So, and hey, it doesn't have anything to do about my business, no, but you know what? It got people following me. So, there has to be a balance. You do need to talk about the coffee. But that stuff can work really well too. So that's awesome. That's funny.
No.
Yeah, I'm game for all that.
So, let's talk hiring a digital marketing agency for a few minutes, okay? Because that is kind of one of the reasons you wanted to come in here. And while there is probably a bit of self-promotion in this conversation for us, I don't want you to restrict yourself to this advice thinking, oh, he's just telling me that because that's us, okay? So the first piece of advice I would give is know what you need. So you need to think about your business goals. Do you need more website traffic? Do you need more online sales? Are you trying to grow your brand and therefore brand awareness? You need to make a list of everything that you need help with. And then you need to go through the potentially challenging process of prioritizing. How long is it going to take me to do this? Do I have to have something in place before I try this? Then I need to prioritize that, right? So order of business as well as length of time to do the thing, cost associated, difficulty. Can I do this? Do I need to hire somebody else? Make a spreadsheet. Spend an afternoon coming up with your list. The next morning, try to rank it. The next morning, probably morning because we're kind of fresh and you're drinking your coffee and you're not really doing stuff. So, you have some downtime to think. Try to identify what has to happen before, and then can I do this or do I need to hire somebody to do this? So build out your sheet. And then you need to, once you've identified what you need to hire others to do, is try to figure out, does this agency that I'm considering hiring right now do that? Do they have anything on their website that says they do that? First and foremost, if they don't, maybe they don't do that. If they don't, from an agency perspective, maybe that's not something that a lot of people ask for. And so from a real estate perspective, they're not putting it on their website because they need to put something else that may be slightly higher ranking on their website, front and center. And so, benefit of the doubt, but if it's not straight out and in your face, but it's a super high need for you, then maybe they're not the agency that you're looking for. Then you want to look at that agency's case studies, portfolio, gallery, whatever they have available, to see if you like what you're looking at. We've had clients come to us who were looking for, Web3 type animations and websites. And while Web3 is something that we could do, that's not necessarily our standard lane. And so our portfolio didn't have anything in that space. We're probably not the right fit. Even if we match on a lot of other categories, if that's an integral decision, maybe we're not the right people, right? But you want to make sure that it fits your brand, your ethos. And then references. Do they have any references that you can actually talk to? If not, can you read their reviews? Check out all of the different reviews, not just the reviews on their website, but also Google reviews or other industry related reviewer locations. Do those reviews come with a picture of the face of the person that said it, or just the name? The name, does that correlate with the title at a business that is similar to yours? Do they have any video testimonials? These are not deal breakers, but look at what is available. Remember, however, that if you're looking for a boutique digital marketing agency, they probably aren't spending all of their own hard-earned money on recruiting video testimonials from happy clients, whereas a much larger agency has bandwidth, deep pockets, and the ability for a single individual or even a team to try and pull that in. So it's not apples for apples when you're comparing. So look at the different agency types that you're looking for, and really try to, is it fair of me to expect a small business to have this that I don't even have? Try to be fair with your desires. And then what's really important, and this kind of hits home with the conversation we were having earlier about making sure that maybe you hire an agency that's in your lane, at least at bare minimum, because you're going to be working with them closely, at least at first, real closely. You need to make sure that your visions align, right? That your values align. You want an agency that cares about your business almost as much as you do. And you already said this. You were like, if they're helping me, I'm going to help them. Well, hell yeah, you are, because you care about the success of someone else's business. They need to reflect that. They need to care about your business, not just be a mirror to the things that you're saying. You need to feel it in them when you're having that conversation. You want to make sure that if they're doing digital marketing work for you, that they have reporting tools available, right? How are they going to, if they're running ads for you, how are they going to demonstrate return on ad spend? Is it weekly, monthly, quarterly? What does that look like? And do you want them to build you this fancy ass spreadsheet, or are you happy with dashboard? Or are you happy with a simple spreadsheet that just shows you the numbers in the line? It's going up. Where are you? Because if you want fancy, you're paying extra. And is that really where you want the money that you're giving to this agency to go towards? So you want to see what they do, see what they're capable of, and is it something that you want to pay for or not? You want to make sure that they have some kind of experience in your industry. If you're doing e-commerce and you're doing coffee, have they ever done coffee? Have they ever done e-commerce? If they haven't, they're really new. They might be too green. We've all been too green at one point in time. So that's not necessarily a red flag, but it's at least I know what I'm getting myself into type of thing, right? I know that they haven't done this specific thing before, but all of the other signals are a go. I reckon they can figure this out. And then you need to ultimately trust your gut. Like, I always say
that's all great
the
advice.
data that we have is only as good as the data that we have. So you could see the website, you could see their social, you could see all the testimonials, you could see all of the things that look golden. But you have one conversation with them and you're like, this doesn't track. Back out. It could have been a bad day. They might not have had their coffee yet. So when you back out, send them a pound of your coffee to say thank you, but no thank you. And maybe they'll have better luck next time if they drink that coffee before, pitching to a new client. But your gut, you've been in the military, that for whatever reason, your gut knows a whole hell of a lot more than our brains can understand. We just got to trust it. Lean into it.
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like the communication is the most important thing out of all those things. All those things are, important, but honestly, just having the vibe you get from when you're asking your questions, how they respond, how it feels. Maybe they haven't ever worked with coffee, but if you feel like they understand you and what they're saying resonates and makes sense, then that's a good indicator, right? Go with your gut. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
That's one thing I did ignore. I did ignore my gut. I had the gut feeling. I was like, I'm not sure. I was tippy-toeing that line. And it was a great salesman. I mean, I got sold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was. He made me feel comfortable enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to ignore the warning signs. And I went with it. But I take responsibility of that on my own too, because it's my decision. And I made the wrong decision, which I'm okay with making bad decisions.
Yeah.
As long as I learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's part of growing. And that's what you really got to do if you're going down business, no matter what business you're in. You've got to learn from the mistakes, because if you don't, you're just going to keep making them.
Yeah.
They be devastating.
As a teacher of over many decades, I'm famous for saying to my students, if you're not making mistakes, you're doing it wrong. Right? So we've got to make mistakes. We've got to make them, and we learn from them. Hopefully it doesn't cost us the earth, literally or figuratively. But
one of my favorite sayings is failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success.
Right.
You're going to fail.
It's true. It is scary when we're talking about it in a business perspective, because, we, as small business owners, we only have so much money to spend on marketing. And so, it gets a little scary sometimes. So hopefully some of those mistakes weren't too costly.
So that
it cost me $25,000.
I was going to say that does bring up the conversation of money, because you get what you pay for. And that's not entirely accurate. You didn't get $25,000 worth of good stuff, right? Sometimes you get what you pay for. I think that where that applies at least 80% of the time is if you go cheap, then you're going to get cheap, right? Maybe not on the other side of the scale, unfortunately. But you need to, before you go into that conversation, it's like going to Vegas, right? I'm going to Vegas. This is my budget. When I hit that number, I need to walk away. That's my number. And when you go into that conversation, it doesn't have to be quite as hard and fast, but you need to know your number that you feel safe. And you need to be transparent with it. One of the challenges I face is, one of my very first questions is, what's your budget? And a lot of people looking to hire us or anyone, I'm guilty of the same thing when I'm on the other side of the table, is I don't want to show my hand too soon. But some other thing that I like to say is, if you want a $5,000 website, I will build you a $5,000 website. If you want a $50,000 website, I will build you a $50,000 website. It's just like buying a Pinto or a Tesla. They're still cars. They still get you from A to B. They still more or less get the job done. But which one do you want to drive? Which one do you want? And when it comes to a lot of these things, it's not even you, it's your target market. Which experience do you want them to have? Do you want them to feel like they are riding in the backseat of a Pinto, or they're riding in the backseat of a Tesla, right? And so you have to make that decision and know where your comfort level is, and then be prepared, I would say, to lay that on the table pretty quick after maybe you've had the gut feeling thing. But it's not supposed to be a trick. The agency that you're hiring, they have their own needs to be met as well, and their own levels of expertise. In theory, they should match the numbers that they're pitching at you. And if they're trying, because we do sell $65,000, $85,000 websites, right? That's one of the things that we sell. But we also sell $15,000 websites, sometimes, in very rare occasions, $7,000 websites, right? You have to know what you're looking for and know that you're worth that, and then have that conversation relatively early in. From your own perspective, I would recommend you have it pretty early in, because I've had people come to me, with these really great ideas, and they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing, and we're going to need a website. We've got financial backers, so we're ready to do this. This literally happened like maybe 2 years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. This guy came in guns a-blazing. His expectations were that he was going to spend $1,500 on a brand new, bespoke, custom, full to the tilt website. I'm like, the talk that came prior to that conversation was huge, but there was a total disconnect. So I would be cautious, going with somebody that's trying to pitch you a $1,500 website, because they're probably very green, trying to cut their teeth in this space, and they're cutting them on you and your company. Mm-hmm. So the trust has to be super, super high. But anyway, know your budget. Set your budget.
Been there, done that too.
And don't. Right. We all have.
Well, and yes. And going back to what you said, you got sold to, he sold you. So I really kind of feel like that's the point where you can kind of feel how your gut feels. Like, what is being sold to me? Does that make sense? I can tell you that, Daniel and I, when we build a website for a customer, we don't promise them that they're going to get instant business. There's a lot of work that we're building the tool, and we're going to build the tool that they can afford, the best tool that they can afford. We're going to think about branding. We're going to think about SEO. We're going to thinking about website performance. That's what we do. We build the best website we can, but we still got to get people there. Right. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a 100%. Good product. You have to have good messaging. You have to have an advertising program that goes with that, right? And start working on brand awareness. We don't just build a website and people come. There's a whole marketing, plan that needs to come with that. So that's something else to consider. And so then, yes. So back to when you're talking with an agency and what they're promising. Does it make sense? Does it resonate? If they're telling you you're going to have instant income, that's a red flag. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
So I've got a wrap. But before we do, I'm really sorry to end it so harshly, Dustin, but before we wrap, is there any piece of advice, any one piece of information that you would like to give to other entrepreneurs or other people in your space about starting a business or building a business or anything, now's your chance. This is your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. You're going to have some of the darkest days ahead of you when you go into a business. You're going to have self-doubt. You're going to reflect of, can I do this on a constant basis? You're going to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, you don't have what it takes. I can't do this. But you're just sabotaging yourself because you can do this. When you look in your mirror and at yourself, you are the strongest component in your business and you can do it. That dark day with that glimmer of light, that light's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as you build your business, as you never quit. Never quit. Look back, reflect, and learn. Your past failures are your past failures. Don't make them your future failures. Learn from them. Don't be afraid to jump out and take the risk. If you're talking about it, it's because you want to do it. Put an action plan together and do it. Build the business. If you're wanting that financial freedom, it does not come easy. You have to put in the hardest work that you're going to put in your life to have that financial freedom. But instead of working 40 years for somebody else, you're going to work 4 or 5, 6 years to get that done, to have that financial freedom. If you fail and you don't hit the metrics, it's okay. They're goals. Goals are meant to be set high. As long as you're striving to those goals, keep climbing that mountain. Always learn. Don't be afraid to go take classes. Don't be afraid to take constructive well, I can't even say the word.
Criticism.
So yeah, criticism. Oh my Lord. Had a mini stroke over here. It's okay. More coffee, it goes away. Don't be afraid to take that. Learn from people who know more than you. So get off your ass and start the business you want to do. If you're not where you're at in your business, learn to grow it. How do you scale it? Where do you want to go? Set those goals high and you'll reach them. It might not be tomorrow, might be next year, but it might be in the next couple of years. And keep going. Find that purpose, find that drive, find that vision.
So good.
You are an entrepreneur. I love it.
And a leader. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dustin. And we really appreciate having you on and you taking the time to join us today. So thank you, really.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Really. Thank you for what you've done. And I've learned actually quite a bit.
Good.
You guys taught me. So thank you. And I'm going to continue learning from you guys.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the We Rock DM podcast. We hope you found our discussions on digital marketing and web design and development helpful and informative. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date on the latest trends and strategies in the world of online business. We'll see you in the next episode of We Rock DM, where we make kick-ass stuff kick-ass.